toll and number of cases of COVID-19 has been climbing each day. While Nepal has yet to see any unfortunate incidents so far, 5 foreigners have been kept at isolation ward in the capital's Teku hospital. Meanwhile, the government has been criticized for failing to take precautionary measures to prevent a potential outbreak. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanama and these are the top stories of the hour. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli admitted at the capital's teaching hospital for a second kidney transplant, commits to return to complete development works after recovery. The National Planning Commission approves the 15th five-year plan, aims at raising Nepal's per capita income to $12,100 in the next 25 years. Government's preparations to prevent coronavirus outbreak remains dismal even after the World Health Organization enlisted Nepal as a high-risk country. And Arsenal enters into the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, defeating League One club Portsmouth 2-0. Let us begin with the national political updates. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli has been admitted at the capital's teaching hospital for his second kidney transplant. Premier Oli is to receive the kidney transplant on Wednesday. The Prime Minister will receive the kidney from his niece Samiksha Sangrola. A special team from India has been brought to the capital for the Premier's treatment. The medical team is being led by Nepalese Dr. Premraj Gewali. The Premier received his first kidney transplant 12 years back in India's Apollo Hospital and had been receiving regular dialysis after complications in the transplanted kidney last year. Meanwhile, Premier Oli released an emotional video message before heading for the hospital for kidney transplant. In the video message, Prime Minister Oli said he had been compelled to battle with his health issues as well as politics during his life. In the 3-minute video, Prime Minister Oli said he is receiving kidney transplant in Nepal itself, and that has made him proud, and recalled having to seek medical treatment in India 12 years ago due to lack of resources in the country. Stating that he has taken initiatives for developing the country, Prime Minister Oli said he will complete the projects once he receives the treatment.
हामीले देखेको समृद्ध नेपाल सुखी नेपालीको राष्ट्रिय आकांक्षा पूरा गर्न केही दिनको अस्पताल बसाई र आरामपछि थप ऊर्जा र आत्मविश्वास लिएर म काममा फर्कनेछु। यस बीचमा सरकारका तर्फबाट गर्नुपर्ने सबै काम नियमित रूपमा अघि बढ्नेछन्। विश्वलाई नै पिरोलिरहेको कोरोना भाइरसका कारण सिर्जित भएको नयाँ समस्या होस् वा भइपरि आउने कुनै पनि विषय, त्यसलाई प्रभावकारी ढङ्गले कार्यान्वयन गर्न परेको समयमा आवश्यक निर्णय लिन सक्ने संयन्त्र र अन्य व्यवस्था मिलाएको छु।
And moving on, the 15th five-year plan by the National Planning Commission was approved yesterday following a meeting that included the Prime Minister and Chairman of the Commission KP Sharma Oli and Finance Minister Yuvraj Khatiwada. Among many ambitious goals, the Commission aims at raising Nepal's per capita income to $12,100 in the next 25 years. If the goal is met, each Nepalese national will earn over 100,000 rupees per month in the next 25 years, and Nepal will be a developed nation with a high income rate. However, the foundations to attain that goal can only be called very ambitious at the moment. Nepal's per capita income this year is $1,047. Back in 2015, when the constitution was promulgated, Nepal's per capita income stood at $772.
यसले समग्र चाहिँ योजनाको डाइरेक्सन कता हो भन्ने कुरो दियो अनि त्यसपछि योजनाहरुका बारेमा यसका चाहिँ अब देशको गरिबीका बारेमा, देशको बेरोजगारीका बारेमा, त्यस्तै गरी अब देशको चाहिँ समृद्धि र सुखका सूचकहरुका बारेमा यिनै बारेमा त्यहाँ छलफल भयो र सामान्य प्रधानमन्त्रीज्यूले र अर्थमन्त्रीज्यूले पनि विभिन्न सुझावहरू दिनुभएको छ। त्यसलाई अब समायोजन गरेर पूर्ण दस्तावेज बनाउने भन्ने कुरा पारित भएको छ।
The meeting of the National Planning Commission yesterday, chaired by Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, approved of the 15th five-year plan that aims at promoting Nepal to a high-income developed country in the next 25 years. Based on the plan, Nepal's per capita income would be $12,100 in 25 years. If the government reaches its goal, each Nepalese will earn at least 1.4 million rupees a year. Meanwhile, the plan does not have such ambitions for the next 5 years. The 15th five-year plan has prioritized infrastructure development, information technology, agriculture, productive industries, education and health sectors. The plan has also emphasized on raising capacities and coordination at the provincial and local levels.
डबल डिजिटको ग्रोथको चाहिँ हामीले प्रक्षेपण र लक्ष्य निर्धारण गरेका छौं। त्यो उपलब्ध गर्नका निम्ति हामीले जति पनि गभर्नेन्स सेक्टरको रिफर्म गर्नुपर्छ, त्यो पनि रिफर्म गर्नुपर्छ र अरु हामीले जति पनि आयोजनाहरू कार्यान्वयनको चरणमा छौं त्यसको सम्पन्नतातर्फ नगइकन हामीले डबल डिजिटको ग्रोथ हासिल गर्न कठिनाइ हुन्छ।
Likewise, the National Planning Commission has aimed at doubling the national economic growth to 9.6% and reducing poverty to 11% in the next 5 years. However, experts opine the goals are full of challenges as the government has not been able to spend more than 73% of the development budget and that imports had inflated in a massive scale in the past 7 years. Experts have called the ambitions of the 15th five-year plan as heavily influenced by the Prime Minister rather than one made after practical calculations. If we are to look at the current status of Nepal, there are more than 7 million Nepalese under the poverty line at the moment, which the plan aims to reduce to nil in 25 years. Now, given the current circumstances as such, it seems highly unlikely that the government's estimates are achievable at all. And with that, we'll take a short break here. For more news, stay with us. The World Health Organization (WHO) has enlisted Nepal as one of the countries that is at high risk of coronavirus. However, the government's preparations have so far remained dismal. The only international airport in the country, the Tribhuvan International Airport, lacks adequate facilities and manpower to detect the virus. 4 Nepalese who returned from South Korea and 1 Chinese national were kept at isolation wards at the Shukraraj Tropical and Infectious Disease Hospital after they showed symptoms of coronavirus. Their samples have been sent for tests to confirm if they are infected by COVID-19. The number of infected individuals in both China and Korea have been rising each day. Coronavirus that started from China spread throughout China and has now been detected in Europe and America, along with some Asian countries. However, back home, Nepalese returning from these regions are not being screened properly. Despite WHO's warnings, the Nepal government has not established proper mechanism to tackle a potential outbreak in the country. The Tribhuvan International Airport does not have an appropriate screening facility yet. Security mechanism at the border region is no different. The Health Ministry had announced that all passengers traveling from the Tribhuvan International Airport would be screened. However, only 13 health officials have been recruited at the airport till date. The airport at the moment can only test 96 passengers a day. Furthermore, one of the 2 thermal scanners at the airport that detect fever, one of the symptoms of coronavirus, has been damaged for 2 weeks now. Apart from 175 Nepalese that were repatriated from China 2 weeks back, the government has tested 225 more individuals for the virus. Fortunately, only 1 person has tested positive so far. However, the weak preparations is highly likely to invite the outbreak in the near future. Meanwhile, the government has strictly put a control on arrival of foreign nationals after the World Health Organization listed Nepal as one of high-risk zones amid the coronavirus outbreak. At a press meet held yesterday, Foreign Minister Pradeep Gyawali informed that the government has postponed the Sagarmatha dialogue until further notice as the risk of the virus has escalated globally. Minister Gyawali said that tourists arriving from the coronavirus-hit countries should obtain visas from the Nepalese embassies based in those countries and added that they should present a health card while obtaining visas. The government has issued a public notice urging Nepalese to avoid trips to foreign countries. Meanwhile, 30 Nepalese en route to Bahrain have been returned to Kathmandu from Dubai airport.
कोही पनि इम्युन रहेन। हामी जुन जुन बाटो हिँड्छौँ प्राय सबै ठाउँहरूमा संक्रमण देखिएको हुनाले त्यसमा सतर्क रहन नेपालीहरूलाई पनि हामीले ट्राभल एडभाइजरी जारी गरेका छौँ। त्यही 10 मार्चदेखि नै अब नेपाल आउने अब उहाँहरूले अनअराइभल त पाउनुहुन्न, तर उहीँबाटै भिजा लिएर आउनेहरूले पनि एउटा चाहिँ हेल्थ कार्ड सबमिट गर्नुपर्ने छ इमिग्रेसनमा, जहाँ आफू चाहिँ कोरोना भाइरसबाट मुक्त भएको अथवा त्यो नलागेको भन्ने कुराको चाहिँ सूचना जारी गर्नुपर्ने छ। अनिवार्य रूपमा त्यहाँ हामीले चाहिँ स्क्रिनिङको व्यवस्था गरेका छौँ।
The government has directed Nepalese embassies and missions in coronavirus-hit countries to maintain contact with Nepalese nationals residing there. Minister Gewali informed that the Finance Ministry is closely monitoring the situation as the restriction on the arrival of tourists is likely to create an impact in the economy of the country. Now moving on, the Council of Ministers has decided to stop issuing no objection certificates or NOCs to students aspiring for higher education in China and Japan, among other countries, amid the coronavirus outbreak. However, the Ministry of Education has been handing out the letters for Japan, citing it has not been informed of the decision. Despite the gravity of the virus outbreak, students are flocking the Education Ministry for the NOCs. This is the site of the Nepalese students lining up at the No Objection Certificate Management section at the Ministry of Education. Given the nearing new academic session in Japan, all of these aspirants are in queue to apply for their No Objection certificates. Every year, over 65,000 Nepalese students go to over 70 countries for higher studies. Yesterday, the cabinet decided to stop issuing NOCs to students applying for Japan, China, Korea, Hong Kong and Iran. Meanwhile, despite the cabinet decision, the Ministry of Education has been distributing the NOCs. Yesterday, the ministry provided NOCs to over 600 students applying for higher studies in Japan. And with that, it's now time for the international update. Benjamin Netanyahu has claimed victory in Israel's general election after exit polls put him ahead of his main rival Benny Gantz. Three projections gave Netanyahu's right-wing Likud party 36 or 37 seats and Gantz's centrist blue and white alliance between 32 and 34. However, the polls suggested Likud and its right-wing allies might fall just short of a majority in parliament. Monday's election was Israel's third in less than a year. Neither of the two main party leaders was able to command a majority in the 120-seat parliament following the last two rounds. 70-year-old Netanyahu is Israel's longest-serving leader and is seeking a record fifth term, having been in office from 1996 to 1999 and again from 2009. The election took place 2 weeks before the Prime Minister is due in court to face corruption charges, which he denies. And with that, we have more news coming up, but right now it's time for yet another short break. The government has established judicial committees at all local levels that have the authority to deliver justice to the general public. However, majority of the committees have been jobless so far. In this context, we had asked the members of the judicial committees in Sindhupalchok what type of cases do they receive. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
Public voice.
पहिला चाहिँ अब विवादहरु लिएर चौकीहरु अदालतमा गइन्थ्यो अहिले चाहिँ स्थानीय न्याय समिति भएको कारणले गर्दाखेरि त्यही सम्पादन गरिन्छ
मुद्दाहरुलाई चाहिँ एकदमै सहज रूपमा छिटो धेरै खर्च नहुने गरी धेरै समय नलाग्ने गरेर न्याय प्रदान गरिरहनु भएको छ
जुन किसिमको जुन यो फौजदारी अभियोग अथवा फौजदारी किसिमको विवादहरु त्यो चाहिँ न्यायपालिकाले अहिलेसम्म हेरेको छैन
जुन पीडित पक्षलाई चाहिँ उसको मनोभाव बुझेर चाहिँ हरेक पीडित पक्षले न्याय पाउने तरिकाले चाहिँ सकारात्मक काम गरेको पाइन्छ
It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion.
Public Pulse.
And the question is, what's your take on the government's target of increasing the per capita income to $12,100 in the next 25 years? Your options are A, desire for prosperity, B, full of challenges, and C, hard to believe. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Time now for the sports update.
Sports news.
Arsenal has entered into the quarter-finals of the FA Cup, defeating League One club Portsmouth 2-0. In the match held at Fratton Park, the home ground for Portsmouth, the visitors opened their account in the injury time of the first half. Arsenal coach Mikel Arteta played 6 young players against Portsmouth, who piled pressure on the hosts right from the start. Papastathopoulos opened the account for Arsenal. The Gunners doubled their lead 6 minutes into the second half through Ediad Nketiah's goal. The match ended 2-0. And moving on, A Division League champion Machindra Club defeated Gorkha Boys of Rupandehi 5-3 in a tiebreaker to advance to the semi-finals of the Mai Valley Gold Cup football tournament. In the match played in Ilam yesterday, the match had to be decided through a tie-breaker as the match was held to a goalless deadlock after 90 minutes of regulation play and 20 minutes of added extra time. Machindra Club players converted at the penalty kicks while Gorkha Boys missed 2. Machindra Club players who converted the spot kicks were Ranjit Dhimal, Buddha Chemjoy, Vinay Thakunagar, Dinesh Rajbansi and Devendra Tamang. Meanwhile, Fore Fofana, Kancha Tamang and Gautam Shrestha were the 3 players who converted the penalty kicks for Gorkha Boys. Today's match of the tournament features a clash between home team My Valley Sporting Club and India's Moha Modern Sporting Club. And with that, it's now time for our special segment, Sports Buzz.
Team Nepal has begun the ACC Eastern Region T20 cricket tournament campaign in a disastrous fashion, losing its opening 2 matches. Nepal is the only side with ODI status among the 5 teams participating at the championship and was top contender to lift the trophy this time around. However, 2 back-to-back defeats earlier this week has dented Nepal's chances of finishing in the top 2 positions in the ongoing championship. Nepal lost to Malaysia on the opening day of the tournament by 22 runs, which was Nepal's first defeat against Malaysia in 11 years. The next day on Sunday, Nepal was beaten by Hong Kong by 43 runs. In both the matches, the familiar problem of Nepal's batting woes resurfaced again, as Nepal didn't last the 20 overs in both the matches. Nepal was bowled out for 132 against Malaysia, while the team could only manage 111 runs against Hong Kong. Amid the gloom, Team Nepal did take some pride in young leg spinner Sandeep Lamichhane's feat of crossing 100-wicket landmark in the T20 matches.
Before wrapping up, here's a look at the top stories once again. Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli admitted at the capital's teaching hospital for a second kidney transplant, commits to return to complete development works after recovery. The National Planning Commission approves the 15th five-year plan, aims at raising Nepal's per capita income to $12,100 in the next 25 years. Government's preparations to prevent the coronavirus outbreak remains dismal even after the World Health Organization enlisting Nepal as high-risk country. And Arsenal enters into the quarterfinals of FA Cup, defeating League One club Portsmouth 2-0. That's all for the moment. Keep watching Kantipur Television HD for more news and entertainment. Have a great day ahead.